the Montgomery County. I'll try that again. I'll now call this meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Elections to order. It's 3 o'clock on Monday, June 16th. All of the members of the board are virtually present in this meeting, as is our board counsel and our election director. I only have very short remarks today. I want to recognize some board member milestones. I want to wish a belated happy birthday to Alex and Kina, both of whom had milestone birthdays since we last met. We don't start any political campaigns at Board of Elections meetings, but I will point out that Kina is now eligible to run for President of the United States of America. And so I want to congratulate her on that. I also want to wish in advance a happy birthday to Daniel, who has his milestone birthday coming up this week. So thank you for joining us while you're still in your youth. And, hopefully you will still join us, next month when you are that much older. Actually, it won't be next month. It'll be the month after, because we're not meeting in July. That was going to be the next thing I was going to remind everybody of. We're meeting today on our regular June schedule. We are not meeting in the month of July. Our next meeting will be on Monday, August 4th, which is roughly the halfway point between today and our September meeting. Our September meeting will be on September the 15th, which is our regular schedule. I anticipate that the August 4th meeting will be an in-person meeting, and that our September 15th meeting will be a remote meeting. And so I hope everyone will plan accordingly. To the extent that people can come in person, I think it'll be very helpful for us to be able to do that for our August meeting. And I think that that's all I have for the board president's remarks. Boris, any remarks that you would like to make before we proceed with the agenda?
No, I'm good.
Anyone else? Any other board members? Okay, we'll move on then. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda? All right, seeing none, we will proceed. The next thing on the agenda is the disclosure of campaign contributions and attendance at fundraisers. Does anyone have anything to disclose today? Okay, seeing none, we will move on. Public comments. Boris, has anybody signed up for public comments?
We have not received a request from anyone to address the board, nor any written public comments for the topic.
Okay, I will just ask, we do have a few observers who are attending today, in addition to some of our staff members who are attending. If any of you seek to address the board, I need you to click on the raise hand button on your screen. Otherwise, we will move on. And I don't see anybody who is seeking to get our attention. So we will move on. Next on the agenda is the election director's report. Boris.
Thank you. I'll go very briefly. It's a very standard election director report. Board documents for the board meeting, today's board meeting, were published as per Montgomery County Board of Elections schedule. We put our agenda for the board meeting a week ahead of time. Board materials are shared with the board and public Thursday before the board meeting. What was different for this board meeting is that 2 weeks prior to the meeting itself, a notification was sent out to elected officials, interested citizens, and organizations who share with us that they would like to be notified when the board is considering and might vote to change locations of the polling places. That notification went out on June 2nd. If my memory serves me well, we have around 280 individuals on the list itself. The notification also included the presentation of early voting sites and changes to the polling places as prepared by the staff, and a total list of polling places for the election day in 2026, organized both alphabetically and in numerical order per precinct number. When it comes to voter registration, our number of active registered voters still remains over 700,000. We had 705 for the last couple of months, with unchanged distribution of voter registration among the political parties. The numbers and the graph are included in the director's report, which is available on the website. Total number of inactive voters currently in Montgomery is 43,577. When it comes to personnel, maybe two announcements. First, as I reported last time, we were hiring for the nursing home and vote by mail and canvassing specialist. It's my pleasure to announce that our colleague Jennifer Daly was promoted to this position, and going forward, we will be advertising her current position for hiring. The second position, as board knows very well, for quite some time we had open a manager position at our outreach, recruitment, and training section. Our new colleague, our new addition, Mr. Phil Jackson, he joined us today. He will take over from Chris, that retired a few months back. And I hope that August meeting, the board will have a pleasure and Phil to meet the board in person during the board meeting. When it comes to the temporary positions, we are at the status quo with only one temporary employee on staff, supporting our efforts to do legally required assessments of the planned polling places for 2026 election cycle, from ADA assessments to any other operational items as needed. When it comes to budget, no major update. We are coming to the end of the fiscal year. The board will notice that one of the quarterly bills to the state board has been processed and is reflected in the budget document. Our overall number, when it comes to spending, stays the same in terms of the forecast, that we will have a surplus, with the biggest amount of carried over funding will be for unrealized expenditures related to the state bill and their charges for the new election poll books. When it comes to section activities, water services, regular activities related to list maintenance, processing of incoming records, whether coming directly from the voters or from our partners or from the state board. We also share with the board that we did support municipal elections in our county in terms of providing them with voter registration lists, which is extent to which we are involved in municipal elections. And we shared with the board and everyone public a link at the state board website where results of the municipal elections are published and could be found. We continue candidate filing for the offices that county-wide offices that will appear on the 2026 primary ballot. You will see that combined between us and the state board that receives candidate filing for statewide offices, we currently have 22 candidates that will appear on the ballot in the primary election. When it comes to voting system and information technology section, the work continues with the inventory project has been completed, and we are going into normal charging schedule of our equipment to sustain IT hardware at the levels that are required by the state. The manager of the voting system and information technology section continues work with our colleagues from TABS, focuses on election resource management system and basically we are coming to an end as we are getting into testing phase now. The website project keeps going on. It continues. We will keep the board updated as we go along, but this is not only Board of Elections, this is county-wide project where every agency that has a website will be impacted, where the county is trying to update our website based to reflect DOJ's latest requirement related to ADA platform needs of each public government website. Elections operation section, shredding of the materials from 2020 has started. Everyone knows on the board that we were overwhelmed with the volume of election materials, ballots, that we couldn't shred because they were placed on a hold due to the court process. As it has been lifted, we have started shredding those materials going forward. Assessments of the polling places are going on. This will take some time, basically keeping Mindy and her team busy throughout the whole summer. When it comes to outreach, recruitment, and training section, processing applications as they come in, outreach events are starting to fill our calendar. Gilberto will talk to the board a bit later about that. The whole team, recruitment and the training, and Gilberto are spread to cover these events during the week and weekends alike. Our lead trainer is working with the state and other colleagues going through the election judge manual. This is a normal process after each election, after each General Assembly session, where certain tweaks or new sections need to be added or filtered. When it comes to meetings and events, I just wanted to share with the board that, as board might know and the public, that Montgomery County has a partner region in South Korea. That region has actually, I would say, deployed one of their representatives to spend a year in Montgomery County to learn more about how the government functions in this part of U.S. Dr. Choi visited our Board of Elections and spent some time with us. We did a presentation, took him through the building, answered all the questions, just trying to bring our election administration process closer to him. And on June 4th, myself and the managers attended a tabletop exercise in Baltimore County. It was a security tabletop exercise designed, executed together with the election center. We were joined by our colleagues from Emergency Management and Homeland Security. I would say that any exercise that brings us together, put before us some case scenarios that are likely to happen on election day, and test our readiness to provide instant response or provide a forum to discuss those instant responses is valuable. As we go through this non-election year, a number of these exercises might increase, and cooperation exchanges between the counties as a lesson learned just to go forward. That, in short, will be election director for this board meeting on June 16th.
Thank you, Boris. Let me just say first that I want to congratulate Jennifer Daly, who a number of us know from the canvas and her other work for the board, and happy to have her in that new capacity. And welcome to Mr. Philip Jackson, presumably not related to the former coach of the Chicago Bulls, who was a very successful coach. But I'm sure he will be a very successful director of recruitment and training for us. And Boris, thank you for continuing to do such a good job of filling out your team. Are there any questions or comments on the director's report? Okay, well, then let's then move on to the board attorney's report. Kevin.
Thank you, David. So as the board members know, there was an Open Meetings Act complaint that was filed against the board It was one of, I think, 15 or 16 that were filed throughout the state by the same individual who resides in Frederick. We have submitted a response to the Open Meetings Compliance Board. They generally take about 30 days to go ahead and provide a response. So we should have an answer by the August meeting. The complaint in essence was that the Board of Canvassers did not post the canvass minutes, although the board will, just by reminder to the public, we actually live stream the canvass, so those live streams have been put back up, and the canvass minutes have been put back up. I don't think the Open Meetings Act applies and that it was required, and it's just unfortunate that the individual just didn't pick up the phone and call us, because there are obviously lots of things that are posted on the website and are advertised and provided to the public that are not required under the Open Meetings Act or required under federal, state, or local law, but that the board does for purposes of transparency. But the Open Meetings Act doesn't require the person to contact the board before making a complaint, and she chose not to do so. So we have filed a response to that complaint, and we'll see what the result is probably by the August meeting.
Thank you for that, Kevin. And let me just again kind of underscore what you said about our live streaming the canvas. To my knowledge, we are the only board in Maryland that live streams the canvas, and the legislation that passed the legislature this past session was actually amended to no longer require the live streaming of canvas, because other boards said that they could not live stream their canvas. We, of course, continue to do so and have done so since 2020. So I think we're about as transparent as any board can be, but we will see what is said about this particular concern, you know, by the Open Meeting Compliance Board. Kevin, would you also be able to say a little bit about what the status is of the litigation relating to the president's executive order?
Sure. So that was going to be the next thing I was going to address, which is
please.
Boris circulated the decision from the United States District Court for the District of Massachusetts enjoining a number of the provisions contained within the president's executive order, primarily on the basis that either those rights were either reserved to Congress and or to the states themselves. As you all know from all of the other cases involving executive orders, not to diminish the ruling of the district court, but almost all of these cases are ending up in the Supreme Court. So time will tell what, if any, of the provisions of the executive order actually will impact the local boards of elections activities moving forward for 2026 and into the future.
And in the meantime, the district court order is binding on us.
Correct.
And one of the things that the litigation is over was the question about the acceptance of ballots after Election Day, which Maryland law requires. And as I understand it, that at the moment, at least the state law continues to prevail.
Correct.
And we'll see what happens after that.
I would say certainly well before 2026, we'll have an answer on all of those things.
Yes, and I do realize that I'm joined by many co-counsels on this call, so happy to share the wealth here, and non-co-counsels as well. Alex, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, David. I just wanted to commend Mr. Karpinski for this response to the Open Meetings Act complaint. I thought it was very well written, well supported, and very persuasive and thoughtful and detailed. So if we do not get this complaint dismissed, it will not be for want of advocacy.
Well, thank you, Alex.
I would like to second that I probably should have said that in the beginning, but thank you for saying that, Alex. It's very true. Larry.
A question for Kevin going forward. There are provisions of the executive order that were not enjoined. And at some point, we need to know which of those we need to worry about, because there were some sections that were not challenged and not enjoined by that particular action that the states brought. And so I just wonder if any of those remaining provisions are going to be trouble next year.
Well, they may or they may not be. I think I need to study it in greater detail. And then obviously the case is going to get fast tracked to the Supreme Court. So we'll see what survives and what doesn't survive. But I think we'll know that in the next couple months.
Kevin, is this a nationwide injunction?
I believe this was, it was a nationwide injunction.
Right.
At the very least, I believe it applies to the states that are part of the litigation, and Maryland is part of the litigation.
And Maryland was one of, I think, 16 or 17 states that joined, something in that ballpark. Yeah, so it applies to Maryland, certainly. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Kevin about the executive order or anything else? Okay, next on the agenda is the website update. Boris.
I'll be again very brief. If the report has been prepared and shared, I believe it's we are in the non-election year pattern, summer pattern, if I may say. You will see the consistency it prevails for the last 3 months. We are in around 7,000, 7,500 visits. So numbers are low compared to our election season, but numbers are consistent for our non-election year. So no major update, but I would say just business as usual when it comes to our website at this stage.
Okay, any questions for Boris about the website update? Okay, let's move on to the outreach update. Dr. Zelaya. Who is very cleverly on camera with Boris's name underneath him.
Yes, I'm everywhere. He's hiding. I'm everywhere. So
Yes.
good afternoon. Also, happy Father's Day for all those connected with us virtually and all or present, etc. And blessings to all. So moving forward, outreach is gaining some momentum. With the sun coming out, more activities are coming to be. We invite the community to meet us this weekend at the Juneteenth celebration at Black Rock and also at the Lincoln Park Mount Calvary Baptist Church. All the information is on our website, the locations and the time. Also at the Sandy Spring Community Day, which is next weekend on the 28th at the Ross Bowdy Community Rec Center. And we're working closely with HHS. They have their positive youth outreach over the summer. So a lot of organizations, nonprofits, county government, libraries, et cetera, will be reaching out into the community. Last month, I failed to share, and I apologize. We got a proclamation shared from the different agencies that participated in the Office of Community Partnerships, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So I shared this with the board, and I'll give this to Boris. It was a great event. A lot of organizations. We work closely with the different nonprofits. So I just wanted to share this with the board and the public. And we have our second part next month, mid-July, the engagement we're having with Montgomery County GOP, Republican Central Committee. We're going to do a voter registrar training, and we talk about the opportunities to encourage election worker service as we near the next elections, and we're going to continue working with them now and to the foreseeable future. And other than that, there's a lot of mobility. Once again, if there's any events that the board would like us to pursue, by all means, drop me an email or a text. And for those watching, we encourage you to invite us. Once again, whether there's 5 people or 5,000, we need a table, and all we need to do is set it up, and we'll be there to serve.
Thank you, Dr. Zelaya. And thank you also for the work that led to that lovely proclamation. it's very much appreciated. I do have one question about the outreach calendar. I know that for the vast majority of these events, when we are attending, there's a table at an event with one or more people from the Board of Elections, and we are doing the various things that we do, registering voters, recruiting judges, et cetera. Could you clarify what it is that we do at these virtual events? We're listed for two of them in the month of June, and I'm curious as to how we handle those.
Yes. So depending on the organization and what they request, so it could be a voter registrar / engagement of kind of what's new coming down the pipeline. So one was when they changed the primary from the 30th of June to the 23rd. So it's kind of high level update, but also voter registrar. There's one coming up, I believe tomorrow, that is with going off of memory, a job fair. And so what we're going to talk about is, number one, we're still early in the pipeline as it pertains to bringing in support staff. However, what we do is talk about the importance of voter maintenance to ensure that individual has their voter registration up to date. We talk about voting by mail, the difference between being on the permanent and not being on the permanent list. And also we touch upon the difference between the three ways of voting: by mail, early, or on election day, and the importance of going to your election day polling place, which is determined by your residential address, as opposed to early voting where you could go to any of the 14 locations. So they always give me this 5 to 10 minute space at some of these events. I don't know, for those, I'm going to date myself. The Price is Right. Remember at the end, Bob Barker would say spay and neuter. So I'm kind of that, vote, register to vote, update your registration. So every time there's like an event, they give me that 5 minute space to talk. And usually those events are well attended, between 100 to 300 individuals. So it's kind of a great opportunity to come in, give them high level of information, the texting prompts, etc. And it becomes a really good resource also as we near the election to recruit individuals with various skills, and it gives them the opportunity to engage while there are, looking in the workforce.
So these are actual presentations that you're making. We're not at the employment fair as an employer. We're there as like, it's a group of people for us to tell about everything that we
Exactly. And it could be a combination. We've been last week, we did go to a job fair, and we will have a table with voter registration information, mail-in application requests. We also have a cancellation form. Maybe individuals want to get off the permanent list. We have those applications as well. We have information pertaining to future vote and also election workers. So when we're physically at a location, we have a full gamut of information to provide. And then depending on the virtual aspect, it depends on what the organization or what they want from us. So yeah, so they vary.
May I just add, if you let me, Dave, as we get
Please.
closer, like in the second half of this year, maybe last quarter, once we publish the hiring ad for our temporary employees, we will be visiting job fairs. We will have a table promoting employment with the Board of Elections. But this is, we are still too far out. But as we get closer, like to the last quarter of the year and the first quarter of the next year, we have our table at the job fairs, and we do advertise both temporary positions and the election judges, because some candidates are more fit, or the schedule fits them better to serve as election judges only, while others prefer to be a temporary employee for a bit longer period of time.
And also depends as we near the election. And I know we've been in different virtual sessions together, whether it's a nonprofit or like Workforce Montgomery, depending on what they request. Sometimes they focus on poll worker service or 3 ways to vote. And we usually kind of cater to what they're looking for, and any opportunity to engage, whether it's virtually or in person, is a great opportunity. I know after the 2020 presidential elections with COVID, we did a lot of virtual, right? So we took advantage of the technology, and as the community starts opening, there's more in person, but there's still that combination between virtual and in person.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the outreach update from Dr. Zelaya? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much appreciate it. Next on the agenda is old business. I'm gonna just ask a procedural question. It looks like we have as old business, the presentation on election day polling places, which is what we did last meeting. And it looks like the action on the polling places is somehow listed at the, after the early voting actions. Is there any reason why we wouldn't just go straight from polling places to action on the polling places? Let's do it. Let's do it that way. Let's start with, we'll finish with election day polling places, both the, any further discussion about it and any action, then we'll move to the early voting locations. So, Boris and Mindy.
Mindy and I, we will do this together. I'll do a bit of an opening because I have to say a few words. Number one, the board and the public knows that we are required to submit an action plan to the state board for approval. That action plan is made of 3 components: early voting, election day, and the drop boxes. This board has approved the drop boxes in April already, and we are looking forward for the board to vote and approve the second segment of that election plan, which is election day polling places today, and the third segment, which is early voting centers for 2026, also today. The second thing is, as per legislation that will be in force, I believe, on July 1st, we went ahead and implemented legislation ahead of time, sending a notification with a written description of the polling place changes to those people who are legally required to receive it or signed up, as I mentioned earlier. In that presentation, there is a segment that refers to the precinct 1201. I have to share with the board and the general public that our initially selected location for that polling place to satisfy that precinct, we were in agreement with the officials from the church. It seemed that at some point it was realized there's a conflict, scheduling conflict. Therefore, we will need to withdraw that proposal for the polling place for the precinct 1201, and we are looking forward to present to the board and the public a new location in August meeting. And the rest of the presentation would stay the same as shared with the board and general public. I think we shared it last time we went through it, and maybe just a kind of a refresher today, where we were and how we arrived here. Mindy? Yeah, we'll just. Do you want me to share it?
All right, so I don't know that it's necessary to repeat everything that was said a month ago, but if you have things to add, I'm happy to hear those, or we can also see if people have questions.
Presentation is the same as it was a month ago. As I said, the only changes was related to 1201, which we cannot move forward. So
Right.
we are fine.
Well, speaking for myself, my memory is bad, but it's not that bad that I can not remember from a month ago. So is there anyone on the board who wants their memory refreshed on any of the, or to discuss any of the precincts from a month ago? Maybe you could just walk through them very quickly and just tell us what they are, and then I'll see if there's a motion. I would say while you're finding that, the vast majority of polling places are going to remain the same. They are the same polling places that we used in 2024. The only thing that we're talking about right now are any of the polling places for 2026 that are different from 2024.
He's still muted.
this again. Or all right, where are we?
Oh, I just noticed that we are not using the owl today. So I guess we have to use the mute button today.
Yes, mute button today it is.
Okay.
So the initial presentation included the following changes: 0107 Damascus Library, 0206 Halliwell's Middle School, 212 Snowden Farms, 1009 Our Lady of Mercy, 1201 Damascus Elementary School, which is still in flux as we continue to research an alternate location. 1307 the Imam Center, 1313 Highland View Elementary School, and 1350 Sligo Creek. So just really quick recap of actual locations. 0107, we would move move from Damascus Library and Senior Center to Laytonsville Elementary School and consolidate with 0101 1206. I'm going to go through these rather quickly, so if you want me to slow down, please just let me know.
Right. And that's an adjacent precinct.
It is in an adjacent precinct.
Okay.
0206, we would be swapping 0206 and 0212 to bring them both into their actual precincts, which will allow voters to vote within the assigned precinct.
Again, just a reminder that both of those precincts are currently voting in adjacent precincts, and the proposal is to have them vote in their own precinct.
In their own precinct. 1009, which is Our Lady of Mercy, will be undergoing construction. So we are proposing to consolidate with 1003 at 7 Locks Elementary. Temporarily consolidate, we'd unconsolidate going into 28. It would still be located within the precinct boundaries. 1307, the Imam Center will return to the newly finished Woodland Elementary School, which was its previous location before going to the Imam Center temporarily.
And of course, we have a legal presumption that we favor public buildings over private ones. We moved to a private building while they were reconstructing Woodland. We're moving back to the public building now that it's completed.
That is correct. 1350, recommending to move from Sligo Creek Elementary School to Silver Spring International Middle School, which is actually the same physical building. The entrances are just on opposite sides. It will increase ADA accessibility, parking, as well as overall space of the polling location. And
So literally around the corner. Could you go back?
Literally.
Could you go back to just the map to show us that? Okay. No, that one. Yes, thank you. So basically, we have an entrance on one side of the building, and now we're going to have an entrance on another side of the building.
Correct, and actually brings us
yeah,
a little bit
and a-
closer in terms of transportation as well. A little
Right.
less than 200 feet, but it's a little bit
Right.
closer for those.
Okay, thank you.
And then 1313 Highland View Elementary School will be undergoing construction starting in January of 26. They're adding an addition to the school. So we'd like to temporarily consolidate 1313 into Silver Spring International Middle School, which is in an adjacent precinct. And this would be a temporary consolidation. And then
Okay,
lastly is 1201, which the hope was a location that we no longer will have access to. That would be all of them for this cycle.
okay. Are there any questions about the changes in the election day polling places that Boris and Mindy just described to us and that we did discuss last month?
Excuse me.
Alex?
Boris, do we intend to, if we approve these changes today, to inform the state administrator that 1201 does need to be moved, but because of this unavailability of the place we wanted, that it's going to take some additional time to locate a new place, and that will be forthcoming later?
Boris, you are mute.
You're unmuted.
Alex, I really hope it won't come as a surprise to you that we are ahead of time here. So we are literally doing this now. We will have a deadline, I believe, November is
November 24th.
November, some late November, to submit the full election plan.
Okay,
When we prepare the sequence of events for this year, the idea is to address those items that we have to, the board has to address anyhow, giving enough space for Mindy over the summer to finish her assessments and do the paperwork for each polling place individually. So addressing the items as we go, Mindy can start. And 12:01, of course, August is far from being late at all. So we are on the schedule.
And let me just say that I want to compliment Boris and Mindy for being as planning ahead and being ahead of the game as they are, because it means that we are addressing some of these concerns in time to not be worried, not be rushing for the deadline or needing special meetings or anything along those lines, as has sometimes been the case in the past. So thank you for being ahead of the game. Alex, does that answer your question?
well, I guess we may approve it, but we're not going to submit the plan until November anyways, right?
Right. We're not going to approve it today. We're not going to act on 12-1 today at all, because we don't have a proposal from the staff for 12-1, given that the previous proposal is not available. And but we will hopefully have a proposal for 12-1 in August, which will then allow us to submit the entire plan after the August meeting.
Oh, so will we approve the others today, or did you want to defer?
Correct.
Okay.
No, we would approve the others. We would approve the others today. We would defer on 12-1 only. Okay, Kina and then Ami.
Thank you, Mr. President. You actually had shared my previous comments already, congratulating Boris and Mindy on a job well done, being ahead of the game, and effectively making sure the community is aware of these changes. At the end of the day, when there's small changes to polling places or anything election related, time is of the essence. So thank you so much for putting that out there and giving the community opportunity to provide their feedback in time for any proposals and it being submitted.
And let's also add that we are complying with a law that hasn't taken effect yet.
Yes.
It doesn't take effect for another 2 weeks, but we are applying. We are making sure that everyone has their opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Kina. Ami.
I had one question because I saw a headline flip across my screen this morning that one of the middle schools here in Montgomery County was damaged by a tree yesterday, and I wondered if that was one that we use for a polling place. I didn't catch the name, so I wasn't able to research that.
It was Westland Middle School, and presumably we're a year away from the election, so presumably it will be fixed in time, if it is one of ours.
It is.
Yes. So I guess we will monitor that. If I don't know what the extent of the damage is, but like I said,
the net result was that the building has now been determined to be unsafe, and I don't know what that means.
right. Well, like I said, there's a year to go, and so if it turns out that it's not going to be available for for the elections of 2026, hopefully we will find that out from MCPS long in advance and address that. I will say that the state law does give us the opportunity for just that situation when there is an emergency to act off schedule to to come up with alternative solutions.
Okay,
so
I just wanted to make sure that our awareness of that.
Yeah, I saw that article as well. Glad no one was in the building when that happened.
Yeah.
So okay, Any other questions about the election day polling places? All right, the chair would entertain a motion supporting the staff's recommendations for the 2026 polling places. Alex,
Mr. President, I move that the board adopt the staff recommendations for polling place changes contained in the June 16th, 2025 presentation that was posted on the board's website on June the 2nd, with the exception of the change of precinct 1201, which would be deferred until a future meeting.
perfect. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Alex, seconded. I couldn't tell if that was Ami or Margie or both, but the minute taker can decide. Any further discussion? Okay, voting members only. All those in favor, please raise your hand. And it is unanimous. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to early voting sites. And I believe we would start with the staff proposal for early voting sites.
Just very briefly, from my end, Bindi will go through the presentation. Early voting, as I mentioned earlier, is the third component of the election plan. The staff will share a proposal today with the board and with the general public. This proposal was shared 2 weeks ago and posted on our website for 2 weeks for everyone to comment. But bottom line is the proposal for 2026 mirrors actually what was implemented in 2024. The same early voting sites, same rooms, same locations. Mindy?
Bear with me while I rearrange my screen so I can see. All right, 2026 early voting sites. When selecting early voting locations, we take into account 5 general rules, for lack of better terms: the accessibility of the early voting center to historically disenfranchised communities, which includes cultural groups, ethnic groups, as well as minority groups; proximity of the location to a dense concentration of voters; accessibility of the location by public transportation; maximizing voter participation through use of community centers and public gathering places; and ensuring equitable distribution throughout the county. Our approach was same as with polling places and ballot drop boxes, maintaining consistency in an effort to support standardization, increase public acceptance of early voting as well as mail-in voting, and planning for accommodating the maximum utilization of any voting option. The outcomes of this approach were maintaining consistency by using the same 14 locations. We will sustain a 98.4% coverage of voters within a 5-mile radius of the early voting locations. It will provide multiple early voting sites for a majority of voters within a 5-mile radius, and continue to enable collection of data to support future planning. Now we'll roll through just the maps really quickly. This is just a standard map with all 14 early voting locations. Early voting centers with minority population. Minority population with the 5-mile buffers. Early voting centers, locations with median income. Median income with 5-mile buffers. Voter density. This is calculated by census block and square miles. Voter density with 5-mile buffers. Public transportation. This is public transportation routes as of current. I think it's also important to note that Department of Transportation does do schedule changes 4 times throughout the year. There are 4 scheduled changes currently scheduled before the primary, so this particular page will be updated as things get changed. And then post-primary, there's 1 additional schedule change slated prior to the general election. So I'm currently working with Department of Transportation to address any changes for this as well as all polling locations. And I'll continue to update this as we go along. Department of Transportation will continue to have their real-time app where voters will be able to, access routes and things like that as needed. Oops. Location 1 will be Activity Center at Borough Park. The Borough Park has been used as an EV center since 2014 through 2024. During the last election, we used the activity rooms. We're moving back to the gym, a little over 7,400 square feet, 147 parking spaces. Public transit, yes, ADA compliant as well. Gym overview and public transit maps. Bower Drive Community Recreation Center. Bower Drive served as an EV center 2010 through 2012, and again from 2022 to 2024. We utilized the social hall, a little over 3,100 square feet, ample parking, transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Voting room, area with parking and entrance, location map, as well as transportation map. Nancy H. Dasick Community Recreation Center. It's been an early voting center since 2022. We utilized the social hall, little over 4,000 square feet, ample parking, transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Social hall, aerial of the location with the voter entrance, location map and transit map. The Damascus Community Recreation Center. Damascus Recreation Center, we've requested use of the full gym, which is a little over 11,500 square feet. It is accessible via public transit as well as ADA compliant. Our aerial map, location map, as well as our transportation map. Transportation's a little less than half a mile from bus stop to the front entrance. The Isaiah Ike Leggett Executive Office Building. It's been a location since 2010. We utilize the auditorium in the lobby, which is a little over 3,500 square feet combined. Parking, there's ample parking at an adjacent parking garage. It is public transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Our aerial maps, our location maps, as well as our transit map. Closest bus stop is 175 feet from the entrance to the building. Then we go into the Germantown Community Recreation Center. It's been an early voting center since 2010. We utilized the gym, 7,630 square feet, little less than 200 parking spaces, public transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Our voting room, our aerial map, our location map, and our transit map. Jane Lawton Community Recreation Center. Early voting location since 2014, 6,750 square feet. We utilize the gym. There is 80 plus parking spaces. We also request the town of Chevy Chase to allow parking in the neighboring streets. It is public transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Voting room, our aerial, location map, and then transportation. Transportation is a little less than a mile from the front entrance. Mid-County Community Recreation Center. It's been an early voting location since 2014. We utilize the social hall, little less than 4,000 square feet, little less than 120 parking spaces. There is public transportation as well as ADA compliant. Voting room photos, aerial map, location map, and transportation is 650 feet from the closest bus stop to the main entrance. Potomac Community Recreation Center. Potomac has been an early voting location since 2016. We utilize the gymnasium. It's 6,640 square feet, 124 parking spaces, ADA accessible, as well as public transportation. Voting room, our aerial, our location map, and our transportation map. Praisner Community Recreation Center. We requesting use of the gym for early voting. It's been an EV location since 2010. Little over 6,000 square feet, 150 parking spaces, ADA compliant, and public transportation accessible. Photo of the voting room, our aerial, location map, as well as our transportation map. Transportation is 400 feet from the main entrance. Sandy Spring Volunteer Fire Department. Sandy Spring has been an EV location since 2018. We use the ballroom on located next door to the fire station, 4,100 square feet, 128 parking spaces. It is public transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Our voting room, aerial, location map, and transportation is about 600 feet from the closest bus stop. The Silver Spring Civic Building at Veterans Plaza. Silver Spring Civic Building's been an EV location since 2010. We utilize the Great Hall as well as the atrium space. Combined is a little over 6,000. Yes, 6,900 square feet. The adjacent parking garage has 1,298 parking spaces. It is public transit accessible as well as ADA compliant. Photos of our voting room. The Great Hall itself is 5,056 square feet and the atrium is 1,817. Our aerial, which shows Town Square Garage 61, which is the garage that we funneled the voters to, which is adjacent to the facility. Our location map, as well as transportation. As you can see, the closest public transportation is 250 feet. There's a number of bus stops within walking distance to the facility. The Wheaton Library and Community Recreation Center. Wheaton has been an early voting center since 2014. This will be a combined location where we will start in the social hall and then transition into the gym. We will start in the social hall for Thursday through Saturday, correct, Janet? And then Saturday evening at the close of early voting, we'll move into the gym. And then Sunday through Thursday, we will be in the gym for Wheaton. So a photo of the social hall, which is 3,263 square feet. And then the gym, a little over 11,000 square feet. There's 240 parking spaces at this location. Again, we'll move to the gym on Sunday and remain in the gym from Sunday through Thursday. Aerial of the gym, aerial of the facility, our location map, as well as transportation, 410 feet from the closest bus stop to the entrance. And then the White Oak Community Recreation Center. White Oak has been an EV center since 2002. We will start in the social hall Thursday through
2022.
Sunday. And then we'll move at the close of Sunday, we would move into the gymnasium from Sunday to Thursday. Social hall is a little over 4,000 square feet, 131 parking spaces. It's ADA compliant and accessible via public transportation. So our social hall photos, and then the gym. The gym is we would move to on Sunday. Well, we'd be there Monday through Thursday. We move Sunday night into the gym. 7,315 square feet, 131 parking spaces. Our location map and transportation is a little less than half a mile from the closest bus stop. EV alternates will remain the same as they did in 2024. The East County Community Recreation Center, Social Hall, little over 3,500 square feet, 250 parking spaces. It is ADA compliant and accessible via public transit. Our voting room, the Social Hall, our aerial, location map, as well as transportation. The Longwood Community Recreation Center would be EV alternate number 2. Social Hall is 3,388 square feet. 108 parking spaces. There is public transportation and it is ADA compliant. Aerial map, location map, and our transportation map. And the last EV alternate is the Upper County Community Recreation Center. We'd utilize the social hall. It's 2,448 square feet, limited parking, 55 plus. However, there is adjacent parking next door at the Upper County Outdoor Pool, which has over 200 parking spaces. It's ADA compliant as well as accessible via public transit. Our social hall photo, our aerial, location photo, and public transportation. That would be the end.
Thank you, Mindy. Just to,
Yes, I'm trying to get my mouse to start working.
yeah, just to clarify, I think you
David, you're
misspoke.
muted.
Am I muted? I should,
No.
not on mine.
You're good. Sorry.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify what I think was just a misspeaking, that White Oak has been an early voting center since 2022, not 2002. There was no early voting until 2010 in the county, but White Oak.
It's okay.
It's okay. We knew what you meant, and your understood, and your slides had it correct as well, and Daniel, of course, remembers it like it was yesterday. So in any event, thank you for that. And the only other thing I wanted to mention before I open it up for discussion of any board member is that we are once again, just like we did in 2024 and previously, we are doing the split between the social halls and the gyms at Wheaton and White Oak, and not in other places, because that's the arrangement that we made with the rec department in order to be respectful of their needs and for there to be respectful of ours. The numbers for us increase substantially as we get closer to the end of early voting, as a consistent trend that Boris has shown us the data multiple times. And so the idea was that the rec department felt that they wanted those facilities for their weekend activities, for the gymnasiums. And then once those are done, they are making them available to us. And that's the reason why in those two particular places, we're doing it the way we did, which is exactly what we did in 2024. So I have some comments to make, but let me first ask if there are any questions about the presentation that you just heard from any board members. I do not see any questions. Okay, so let me just, I'm going to make a couple of comments and then I'm going to turn it over to Ami and then I'm going to turn it over to everybody else who wants to do it and then we'll get a motion. The staff is recommending the same 14 early voting locations for the 2026 elections that we used for 2022 and 2024, which allows our voters to go back to familiar locations. As board members know, Maryland law requires Montgomery County to have 13 locations and allows one more by mutual agreement of the Board of Elections, the county executive, and the county council. We thank the county executive and the county council for supporting our request for 14 early voting centers for the 2022 and 2024 elections, and we ask that they do so again for the 2026 elections. We are happy to offer all those eligible to vote a choice among voting by mail-in ballot, voting at any of the county's 14 early voting centers, or voting at your home precinct's assigned polling place on election day. And then once the county executive and the county council agrees, assuming that the board votes to recommend 14 early voting centers, we need the county executive and the county council to agree to the number of early voting centers. We then have to choose the sites, and then the state board has to approve them. And once all of that happens, they'll be advertised on the board's website. I think this continuity of service that Boris has been preaching is exactly what our voters want and need. They want the reliability of being able to go back to where they went before. We hope that we will help to remind those who need a reminder about the different rules for the different types of voting so that we minimize our number of provisional ballots. Ami, your turn.
Yes, along that line, I'd like to say that when we discuss the early voting sites, whether on our website or in any meetings where it's appropriate, that we point out the difference. We point out that anyone can vote at any early voting site during early voting, but that you must vote at your own home precinct on election day. Otherwise, if you show up at an early voting site and it's not your home precinct, you're going to have to vote by provisional ballot on voting day, and that requires more time for the voter and it requires more time for us. And so I think the difference between early voting sites and election day sites needs to be emphasized. And that's the only comment I'd like to make.
Okay. Well, maybe before I call for more comments, let me see if there is a motion on early voting sites. I believe that Daniel had told me that he wanted to make a motion on early voting sites, given his long history with this issue.
Okay.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I move that we accept the proposed early voting site as presented by staff.
Okay, Daniel has moved that we accept the proposed early voting site as staff has recommended, which would be the same 14 plus the same 3 alternate sites as we had in 2024. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Ami, thirded by Kina. And any further discussion? Daniel, it's your motion. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
Just like to say that we are actually making it easy for people to vote, and that's why these sites are really important for voters to have access to. So I really want to thank the work that is put into this by again Boris, Mindy, and the entire team to make sure that not only the voters, when they get there, they have all the materials that is needed, but also, our election workers who are actually going to be there, the judges, the graders. It's an immense work. So I really want to thank all of you for the detail that you've put into this.
Okay, any other comments? Alex?
Alex, you're on mute.
Sorry, David, will we be having a session with the county council to confirm that they will be providing the necessary funding for the 14th site?
The very next motion I'm going to ask for is going to be a motion to write to the executive and the council to request their approval. And we would appear before them if they would like us to. I'm not aware of a significant amount of opposition, but of course we haven't asked them yet. So, but that is literally that will be our next motion. Will be contacting the executive and the county council, similar to what we did 2 years ago. And we do every election. I should just say, we go back to them and ask for their approval for that 14th site or the additional site. Anytime we have sought that additional site, we go back each election. It's not considered to have carried over from one election to the next. Any, Boris.
Just very briefly, if I understood Alex's question right, he asked if we would need to go back to the county council and county executive to ask for additional funding to enable administration of the 14th early voting site. And we, based on the experience and us projecting board's philosophy in terms of providing voters with the continuity of options, we already included expenses for the 14 early voting sites in the 2026 fiscal budget.
Yeah, let me clarify that what I was referring to, there's two different requirements. There's the budgetary requirement and there's the statutory requirement for their approving this with us. I was referring to the latter, but it sounds like we are basically ready on both ends. It's already in the budget, and we just need the executive and the council to sign off on the number. The law is pretty clear that we need them to sign off on the number, but that we're the ones who choose the locations. So, any further discussion on Daniel's motion? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Now the chair will entertain a motion that the board request the county executive and the county council to agree to reestablish the 14th early voting site. Ami.
So move.
Okay, is there a second? Seconded by Kina. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Okay, I believe, Boris, tell me if I'm wrong, we are up to listing our future action items from today's meeting. I don't believe that we have any other business today other than that.
That's my understanding as well. And I also have to say that when it comes to future items, I wrote it down, Ami, for us, but we will do it anyhow. It's to follow up on Westland Middle School.
Yes.
Yeah.
Westland Middle School. We should have a ready 12:01 for August. And yeah, again, I listed it for myself as an action item, but that's what we do daily. So Westland is on a high priority list.
Right. Westland and 12:01. And was there anything else that board members can remember that we were asking the staff to do before our next meeting, other than making sure we have enough chairs around the table for everybody to attend in person, which I'm sure they would do anyway. Okay, then we're on to approval of the minutes. I will call on Ami. Go ahead. You have a motion to make?
Yeah, I will move that we approve the minutes as corrected by David and edited by me.
Okay, board members, I did send you an email indicating which email was the most recent one that Ami sent. I believe it was on Friday afternoon. The motion is to approve that version of the minutes as corrected. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Alex. All those in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Okay, future meetings. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, we will meet next on Monday, August 4th. That replaces our July meeting and the August meeting that would have been later in August. That August 4th is roughly the halfway point between now and our September meeting. And the August 4th meeting will be an in-person meeting at the board. Our next meeting after that will be Monday, September 15th. That will be, in all likelihood, a remote meeting. And then we'll go back for the schedule. And I don't know yet what to expect in terms of whether we're in person or not for October 20th, but that seems so far in the future, 4 months from now. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Any other questions, concerns, comments for the good of the order? Okay, this meeting stands adjourned, and everybody, I'm sure we'll be in touch in various different ways, but enjoy the summer, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.